Good evening. It is Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. Today was our monthly food distribution, and in cooperation with both Caring Ministries and Iglesia Bautista Cristo Bien, we were able to distribute 72 boxes of food to an estimated 39 families, representing an estimated 165 people. It's so beautiful that God allows us to be a part of this beautiful ministry. Also got to see a couple of the grandkids today, and it's always a wonderful day when I get to see the grandkids. This evening I want to look at one of the most memorable battles in Scripture. And to coin a phrase from a song I heard on the radio today, it's where David brought a rock to a sword fight. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, beginning with verse 40 and reading through verse 50, and again I'm using the New Living Translation, second edition, it says, "He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them in his shepherd's bag. Then, armed only with his shepherd's staff and sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. Goliath walked out toward David with his shield bearer ahead of him, sneering in contempt at the ruddy-faced boy. 'Am I a dog,' he roared at David, 'that you come at me with a stick?' And he cursed David by the names of his gods. 'Come over here, and I will give your flesh to the birds and wild animals,' Goliath yelled. David replied to the Philistine, 'You come to me with sword, spear, and javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel.' And everyone assembled here will know that the Lord rescues his people, but not with sword and spear. This is the Lord's battle, and he will give you to us." As Goliath moved closer to attack, David quickly ran out to meet him. Reaching into his shepherd's bag and taking out a stone, he hurled it with his sling and hit the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank in, and Goliath stumbled and fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone, for he had no sword. That's an amazing story, and I love that story. You know, David faced a lot of enemies in this battle. One of the enemies as he faced was contempt. A lot of trash talking went on in those kind of battles. But Goliath actually held David in contempt. Did not think he was worth anything. Did not think that he was of any value. And not just called him names, but demeaned him, his God, and his country. And yet, David stood up straight and tall in the midst of that contempt and did not take it personally or let him bother him. David faced a superior force and superior firepower. There is no military strategist in the world that would have bet on David's outcome. He was destined to lose. And so often, so many of the battles we face, to all outward looks and appearances, we're destined to lose. But what did David do? The first thing he did is he went with what he knew. Saul had offered him his armor, but David says, "I don't know how to use this stuff. I know how to use the sling, and that's what I'm going to go with." So often we are filled with such feelings of inadequacy, that we're never good enough, that we don't know enough, that we don't have enough education. And all God is asking us to do is go with what we know. Go with what we can do. Go with what we have. Trust God to make up the difference. David went with what he knew. But I think one of the most important things David went with courage. David went head held high, recognizing that his God was stronger than the gods of the Philistines. And David had tremendous courage. Oh, we lack courage. We're so afraid. We're afraid of what other people will think. We're afraid of what other people will say. We're afraid of what the church folks will think of us. And we fail to have that kind of courage that says, I belong to God and I can trust God and I'm going to move forward under God. David had tremendous courage. But most importantly, David went with the Lord. David knew that God had instructed him and trained him and led him to fulfill this mission. And so he went where God instructed him to go, and he went in the name and purpose of God. He wasn't off on some half-cracked crackpot mission. David was following the will of God, and David won a tremendous victory because he had the courage and strength and presence of the Lord at his side. May we learn from David. God bless you.